So with Arne Slot settled in as Liverpool manager, everyone is now an overnight expert on the Dutchman. And as we keep towards the opening of the transfer window, thoughts inevitably turn to possible incomings and outgoings at Anfield. Last season, Liverpool had no problems creating chances, and up until the last few weeks of the season, they didn't have many issues converting those chances, racking up 86 goals over the 38 games. However, they conceded 41 goals, simply not good enough for a side entering a title race. And ultimately, they couldn't keep on conceding first and getting away with it, meaning that one of Slot's first jobs will be to stabilise the Reds' defensive unit, which will probably mean the introduction of some new faces. So let's have a look at the challenges in sorting out that backline and some potential new players Slot could bring in. 2 from his previous club Feyenoord, 2 promising players from elsewhere around Europe, and 2 Premier League stars. Let's go. Now, Slot has 7 first-team players to work with in the 4 defensive positions. So let's start with left-back. Andy Robertson missed 13 Premier League matches with a shoulder injury picked up against Spain in November. A lot of people were saying he's finished, and he did struggle for form on his return to the team, although he ended the final few games strongly, finally picking up some rhythm along the way. He's only 30 and only missed 2 of the games this season due to illness and an ankle injury. I believe he still has a lot to give. He's part of the leadership group and, in my opinion, is vital for the continuity of the team moving forward into this next stage. Kostas Tsimikas had an odd season last year. I feel he's really missed an opportunity with Robbo being out injured. He came in and really struggled, but in fairness to the lad, it's hard to hit the ground running when you've been out for so long. His form did improve, but then he got injured himself with a broken collarbone, which was really unfortunate in my opinion. After that, Robbo returned and Tsimikas never got a sniff. However, he is still just 28, he's a full international and he seems happy being an understudy, so he certainly has his use in a big squad. On the other side of the pitch, there's perhaps the biggest decision for Slot to make: what to do about Trent Alexander-Arnold. Much of this could depend on what happens to Trent in the Euros, where he's considered a midfielder for England. Calvin Phillips and Jordan Henderson won't be going to the tournament, meaning that the naturally cautious Gareth Southgate won't be tempted to construct a more industrious midfield and might have to go with the exciting prospect of Trent lining up in a double pivot with Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham just in front of them. He certainly should try this in the group games against Serbia, Denmark and Slovenia. I believe the team should be built around Trent. He needs to be able to create in different parts of the pitch, work in new angles and engage in his brain with a fresh challenge. He's the best footballer in the Liverpool squad by some distance, and I think his skills need to be embraced rather than focused on the part of his game which aren't as good. I mean, was anyone moaning that Thiago wasn't the best defender in the world? No, they weren't. They were focusing on what he could do. People need to open their minds and appreciate Trent for the truly generational talent that he is. He's also entering the final year of his contract, which needs to be sorted as soon as possible, which I fully expect Michael Edwards and his team to do so. So if he does make the move into midfield, that leaves Conor Bradley as the only out-and-out right-back in the squad. Bradley has been a revelation, a player who's looked so comfortable with being a first-team player from the first minute that he played there. Now, if Trent does move into midfield, Joe Gomez would be the only option left there as a rotation option, basically. So a quick word on Gomez, who for me he was probably the best player of the season for Liverpool last year. Really versatile and played as right back, centre back, left back and as a defensive midfielder. And after a tricky first few games, he really embraced this go-to role and very rarely let the side down. The biggest surprise for me was how he excelled as a left back, a role that he's always looked ill-suited to. Being deployed as an inverted left back instead of an up and down touchline hugger really helped him, enabling him to get on the ball, turn inside and look for passing options as he is so reliant on his right foot. That leaves the central defenders, and if we take Joe Gomez out of the equation, it's Virgil van Dijk, Jalal Kwanzaa and Ibrahim Konate. Obviously Van Dijk is essential, not just as a player but as a captain and a massive presence in the squad. Like Trent, he's also entering the final year of the contract, so let's get that sorted, eh? Now, Konate actually did all right last season, but his form dropped off a cliff in the final third, as he never really seemed to recover from a thigh injury. And his lowest point came in the Merseyside derby when he was off the pace and physically dominated before he got subbed. Jallo Quansah took his place and never looked back, taking part in an incredible 34 matches in his debut season, which I think is absolutely remarkable for a young centre-back, one of the most difficult positions to learn on the job. So what about new defenders that Arne Slot could bring in? Well, let's first look at two players that he left behind at Feyenoord that he might be tempted to bring over to Anfield. First, David Hanko has had an impressive season in the Eredivisie. The 26-year-old Slovakian international is a left footer who plays mostly at centre-back but can also play as a left-back. He's fast, aggressive and has been key to how Feyenoord move the ball quickly forward in key situations. His passes into the final third are impressive, as is his ability to progressively carry the ball, much like the departed Joel Matip. The rarity for high-quality left-footed centre-backs, Slot's familiarity with the player, and Hanko being at the right stage in his development where he could take the next step mean that this link has real potential. Lucharel Gitzerude is another Feyenoord player linked with the Reds, who was also present at Anfield when Liverpool drew 2-2 with West Ham in April. Gitzerude has predominantly played as a right-back, but is another versatile player, having also served time at centre-back, left-back and defensive midfield. He's 6'1", and while not quite reaching Trent levels, he is no stranger to an assist and a goal. About to enter the last year of his contract, he could be available for around £25 million. Okay, what about some other options from around Europe? William Pacho is a player that is being linked with some of Europe's top clubs. The Eintracht Frankfurt defender is just 22 years old and is another centre-back with excellent distribution, including through balls and passes into the final third. He's more than comfortable on the ball and is often the initiator of Frankfurt's attacking movements. He's generally a left-sided centre-back, but can also play as a left-back. He's got experience in both a back four and back three, which slots Feyenoord often switch between when either with or without the ball. He's 6'1" and is famed for his decision-making and composure, especially seeing that he's so young. In the Bundesliga, he ranks high for tackles won in the final third and also for loose ball recoveries, indicating that he would be a good fit in a high-pressing Arne Slot team. Jean-Claire Todibo has had a great season for Nice, becoming a mainstay of their defence. The ex-Benfica and Barcelona man has rebuilt his career in France, where he is known for his tackle success rate, along with the ability to win the ball in the air, drawing comparisons with Ibrahima Konate. The fact that he's right-footed and hasn't shown much versatility so far in his career might count against him, but he's a player that has been linked with Liverpool for a while, and if the price is right, he could remain on their radar. Okay, what about some names closer to home in the Premier League? Well, one left-back that could be on the move is Anthony Robertson from Fulham. He's a player that always seems to cause Liverpool problems when he faces them, playing a high, aggressive game that would fit in perfectly in a Liverpool side. He's got 4 years left on his Fulham deal, but has come out to the press and shown a desire to move on should a big club approach Fulham with a big offer. His arrival would mean Kostas Tsimikas moving on and create a genuine competition for place with Andy Robertson, something that he's lacked so far in his Liverpool career. Mark Gay's reputation has been slowly growing over the past 2 seasons as he's quietly become one of Crystal Palace's most important players. He's known for his pace and his remarkable recovery runs, a vital ability for the defence playing a high line. On the ball, he's every bit the modern defender, comfortable in possession and bringing the ball out to start offensive phases of play. He's played a lot of football for a 23-year-old, captain Palace, and has earned his place in the England team. Impressively, he's comfortable using both feet and can also play as a defensive midfielder. Palace would not want to lose him on the cheap, but he's entering the final 2 years of his contract, so it could be the ideal time for him to move on for all parties. Finally, it's worth giving a mention to Sepp van den Berg, someone with just 4 Liverpool appearances to his name, but he spent a lot of time out on loan at Preston, Schalke and now Mainz, where he's enjoyed his best season so far. He's gained the plaudits in the Bundesliga, and the feeling might be that he deserves a chance to prove himself to Arne Slot. However, Mainz seem keen on making the move permanent. And while he has had an impressive season in Germany, he might not quite have the ball-playing skills required to make it at the very top level. But to be fair, Mainz play a more straight-laced brand of football, so not a place he could show these skills off should he have them. Either way, I'd expect Van den Berg to probably move on and for Liverpool to turn a profit on the Dutchman and continue to look elsewhere in their quest to bolster the Reds' backline.